Hi guys, what's the crack? You're watching K Reviews, and tomorrow is the big day. Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice comes out. So I've decided to review Man of Steel from 2013, considering it's the movie you should probably see before Batman v Superman. Considering Batman v Superman will be picking up kind of where Man of Steel left off, so let's do it. Just to warn you, if you have not seen this movie, there will be spoilers in this review. Considering the movie's been out long enough, I think it's totally okay to talk about spoilers. So if for some reason you haven't seen this movie and you want to remain kind of unaware of spoilers, then you should probably turn away from this review now. Maybe watch the movie and come back, because I recommend watching the movie anyway. It'd be a good idea to watch Man of Steel before seeing Batman v Superman. From some of the scenes in the trailer and the fact that the synopsis of the plot has kind of talked about the fact that it will definitely be, affected by the events of Man of Steel. It's worth watching Man of Steel. And if you haven't seen Man of Steel at all, you don't know what I'm talking about. Some of this might also spoil some of Batman v Superman on you if you want to go into that totally blind. So just be aware that there will be spoilers for Man of Steel in this. Okay, I think that's enough of a warning. Let's get to this. So 2013's Man of Steel, directed by Zack Snyder, was the debut of Henry Cavill as Superman. And honestly, I think he's a great Superman. I think he's done a great job. He looks the part, he plays the part, and he still has an emotional core to him that makes him relatable, even though he's the goody-gooder, Superman. Before Man of Steel, I did not like Superman. That's a fact. I'll state that now. I did not like Superman because I thought he was too good. I thought he had no problems, and only for kryptonite no one could take him on. But that's because I knew nothing about him. I'd never read the Superman comics at that point. I'd never looked into him, and as far as I was concerned, it was just the Christopher Reeves movies. So as far as I was concerned, it was like Lex Luthor. That's it. Unless you've got kryptonite, nothing could take on Superman. How wrong I was. Superman is incredibly interesting, and Man of Steel sort of showed me that, and after Man of Steel it made me want to go read comics and learn more about Superman, learn more about his lore, his fantastic rogues gallery, all the different villains that could take him on, and his weaknesses bar kryptonite, because he has, an emotional core. He has a lot of weaknesses. People who die, he blames himself. He takes responsibility for the world, and he can't save, he can't be everywhere at once. He can't save the whole world. And I think that's going to be one of the themes brought up in Batman v Superman, to be honest. After the events of Man of Steel, he wasn't able to, totally save everyone in Metropolis. And I think that that's going to weigh him down a lot in Batman v Superman. I think it's going to be one of the themes that carries over. So I have to give props to the movie Man of Steel for making Superman interesting to me. And I think it probably made Superman interesting to it. It was about basically bringing Superman back into popular interest. Because Superman is the most famous and the most iconic superhero ever created. And in ways, he's the blueprint for all modern superheroes. He is what superheroes are based on. He started this whole comic book superhero thing, in a way. So he's important. He deserves recognition for that. A lot of superheroes wouldn't exist if not for Superman. So there was a long period where Superman was no longer interesting. The god-awful Superman Returns, I think, turned a lot of people off Superman. He just went out of public eye. And then Man of Steel brought him back, and I found him interesting, and I think a lot of people probably did. I know Man of Steel is one of those ones that got mixed reviews. I think what it is with Man of Steel is you either love it or you hate it. Personally, I think it's awesome. It has a fantastic score by Hans Zimmer. The actors are fantastic. Michael Shannon, who plays the villain General Zod. General Zod is a hard performance to top after Terrence Stamp put his stamp on it, in the Christopher Reeves Superman movies. So I think Michael Shannon did something that takes it completely away from Terrence Stamp's iconic go with the role and took it in a different direction. I felt for Zod. He wasn't, in his own right, he was a villain to Earth. But, Earth is a different species to him. They're totally different. It mean nothing to him. His whole mission was just to save Krypton, and I felt like he emotionally really got that across. Zod wasn't just a totally villain who wanted world domination and wanted to destroy everything. He was a very relatable villain. He was one that cared a lot about his culture and wanted to protect it. And in his eyes, Superman is the villain because, towards the end of the film, Superman chooses, you know what, I choose humanity over Krypton, and he destroys a ship with a Genesis chamber which destroys Zod's chances of recreating Kryptonians on Earth. So essentially Superman commits genocide of a species at the end of the film, which is a huge moral dilemma for Superman. He has to choose between who he really is or who he has become. And he decides that who he has become is far more important. Being human is who he really is. He says Krypton had its chance. And he throws that away. And as far as Zod is concerned, Superman has just destroyed the future of Krypton. So Zod was written very interestingly. The themes in this movie I think were really interesting. I think David Goyer did a great job on the writing for Man of Steel. The visuals in Man of Steel are epic. They give me full faith that Batman v Superman is going to have such epic visuals, and the fight sequences were great. Watching two Kryptonians battling it out with their different abilities, their different powers, and showing the destruction that they would really cause. You know, in an age where we have the special effects to not hold back, it was great to see Superman really do damage and his villains really do damage, and you could see now that, you know, it's not all a walk in the park for Superman. He has these villains that are really imposing, really powerful, and the danger that they pose to the Earth was really shown. I think the actors in this movie were great. I've already talked about how I think Henry Cavill was a great Superman and Michael Shannon did a great Zod. But I really liked, Kevin Costner as Jonathan Kent. His lines were fantastic. He had some great lines with Clark Kent as a kid, when it was like he's talking about how he has to keep that side of himself a secret, even if it means maybe not helping people and letting people die, if it means keeping it a secret, because this movie does a great job of talking about the fact that if Superman existed, it would cause huge dilemmas for the world, because people would now know, okay, aliens exist, aliens that are stronger than us, and actually we are not the centre of the universe, and you know, it would change the way we think about the world, and it might change our beliefs about what it means to be human. All of that I think was fascinating, and Kevin Costner was basically the voice of that point of view. I think he did a great job at it. Lawrence Fishburne, I think, was a great Perry White. I think there was a bit of controversy at first when he was cast, because a lot of people, some people didn't like that. He doesn't look like the Perry White of the comics because of his colour. I had no problem with it. I think he did a fantastic job. I think he had Perry White to a T. He did a great modern version of him, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of him in Batman v Superman. I think Lawrence Fishburne is a great actor anyway, so I think he did a great job. I think Amy Adams is probably the only casting I wasn't happy with, purely because she does a great job. She has the whole tough, hardened reporter thing well. She's a modern female. She's a go-getter. She's not just a damsel in distress as females were portrayed in the older, as Lois Lane was portrayed in the older Superman movies. She has an important role to play. She's not just a love interest. But I just feel like Amy Adams doesn't look like Lois Lane. That's just me. I know I said Lawrence Fishburne doesn't necessarily look like Perry White from the comics, but I feel like when he was on screen, it was sold to me. His performance made me believe it was Perry White. Whereas when I see Amy Adams, she's a good actress, but I don't see Lois Lane, to be honest. I just see Amy Adams acting. That's just me personally. Maybe some people think she's the perfect Lois Lane, but for me, I would have preferred a different Lois Lane. She's the only one that kind of jarred at me. I didn't feel like she was Lois Lane, but that's it really. Russell Crowe's Jor-El was very interesting. Jor-El's story arc was interesting because he was pretty psychotic actually as well. He also wanted to preserve Krypton, but in a different way, and he was totally okay with just like, my son is the one who should live just because he's a natural born child of Krypton, and the rest of Krypton we can allow to die, because my son will carry on our legacy. And there's something kind of, Jor-El was always portrayed as like a goody-good, and this kind of, you could question his motives. Him and Zod had different plans for Earth that, didn't really give Earth a say, where Superman spoke on behalf of Earth and said, no, Krypton's destroyed, we have to leave it alone. They had their chance, they messed up. That whole dynamic, that whole story arc is really interesting. So yeah, I think Man of Steel is a really fun watch. I don't think it got enough credit actually. I think it did a great job. I think Zack Snyder is a good director. He's really good at the comic book genre. He did a great job on 300, Watchmen, and I think Man of Steel, visuals were great, action scenes were great. I thought the script was great personally. The themes were interesting, the story was interesting. And it did what it set out to do. It made me like Superman. So props for that. I think it's a great movie. Honestly, you should check it out if it, help you, because you're going into Batman v Superman is kind of a sequel, a follow-up to Man of Steel. But also just because it's a good movie in its own right. It's a great movie. It's really fun to watch. I enjoy watching it. I could throw it on and just have fun watching it. But it tells a very serious, a really important story. And it makes Superman the most famous superhero ever created, interesting and relatable to a modern audience. So anyway guys, those are my thoughts on Man of Steel. It's been out long enough now that I know enough of you have probably seen it, so be sure to let me know what you think of Man of Steel in the comments below, and what are you looking forward to seeing in Batman v Superman that will be like a callback to Man of Steel, and what kind of things in Man of Steel do you hope they bring up again in Batman v Superman? Be sure to let me know all that. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like it and subscribe to this channel. I'll be seeing Batman v Superman tomorrow. I can't wait. I'll be seeing it in IMAX in London. So when I get back from London, I'll do 2 reviews for Batman v Superman. I'll do a spoiler-filled review for anyone who is seeing it. We can get into the the nitty-gritty bits of it. And I'll do a non-spoiler review for anyone who hasn't seen it and basically tell you, loosely what's good about it or what's bad about it. Who knows? And then you can hear my thoughts on that. So to get all that, be sure to subscribe to this channel and to like the Facebook page in the description below. I've been Kay. You've been awesome.